Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear and listening in to another gig vlog. This one entitled Requiem. And for those who understand what a Requiem is, no, this is not the final vlog. The chosen nature of the word, of the finalization of it, has meaning to what I'm going to say. And this is something I wasn't going to do because honestly I don't feel it's my place, but it's been on my mind a bit, because things like this happen on a regular basis, and it's something that can't really be completely avoided because you can't control the actions of people as best as you may want to, like no matter who you are, no matter who it is. And yeah, thinking over the fact of what happened with Etika this past week, it's made me go back and think about times where that was on my mind, where it was something that had deeply seated itself in me. And made me really think about the most recent time I had thought about it, which I didn't bring up to many people. I never really talked to anybody about it, just because it's, again, I'm personally a very stubborn person. I don't like to ask for help, and if I really do ask you for help, you know I'm in trouble. That's just how things are. You know I'm in deep trouble. If I actually ask you for help, I'm in trouble in some way. Um, but to put this into context, the last time I had actually thought about it was back in October. That was where I had a breakdown. Like, I didn't really share it with very many people. Only people who were extremely close to me know about it. And I had broken down to the point where I was actually highly considering pulling the trigger. Again, only the people who were involved in that situation, for the most part, know why. But I had seen everything become very bleak and dark. And everything just falling apart right in front of me. And it got to a point where I had sat down in the car for an hour by myself. Nobody knew where I was because I didn't say anything to anyone. And I just sat thinking about it for a good while. If I remember correctly where I was, I could have driven off of where I had stopped onto a highway on the opposite side of traffic, and that would have been it. Where I was, that's what I could have done. But my mind was, I wasn't thinking about having harm done to someone else. It was just me that I wanted it to happen to. But where I physically was positioned, that thought did cross my mind. And I thought about just finding a location and just driving the van off into water and letting whatever happened happened. It would have taken people a long time to find me, and I'm well aware of that. I would have not said anything to anyone. I was just going to go do it. And when I got to that point, this is when I finally reached out to family members and older and close friends and started talking and getting people to kind of just, help me pull myself through things. This is when the thought had gotten to the point where I would have done it, I started to think about my kids. And that's likely the thing that saved me. Was thinking about them and how that would have affected them. What that would have meant to them. They became my purpose and my reason for continuing to live. And they still are. So I was really deeply in it. And I shouldn't have waited so long to try to get people to help me. I shouldn't have waited so long to start speaking up to anyone at all. I shouldn't have. I know I shouldn't have, but I did because again, I'm stubborn. I don't like to get help for anything. No matter what the situation is, whether I'm down and out and I'm pressed with my back against the wall and there's no way to escape whatever's going to happen, I still don't like to get help with anything. I'm more the grit and bear it type than people would realize. And the only time you would really know something was wrong with me outside of that is if I actually did just flip out. But I've been very good at hiding that from people for a long time. So I can always wonder, when somebody else has been to that point and they actually do go through it, they go through with it. I kind of sit down and think, what could have been done to help them? But there's not really anything that you can do with helping a person at all if they don't get it, they don't seek it themselves, or if you don't have a way to be there to be aware of what's going on. And for me, there were a lot of things that I was seeing happening in front of me that I didn't want to have happen. And I had no way to stop those things from happening. It was completely out of my control. And that's why I was having the breakdown, because I knew I couldn't control the situation. I had no way to fight it. I just had to watch it. See it all unfold. And during that time period, I had acted irrationally, I acted out, and it probably turned some people to thinking that I've completely lost my mind, which probably would be accurate during that period of time. And it's difficult. Because I like to keep things like that personal to me and not put it out for other people. But at the same time, I look back and I'm like, Me keeping everything personal and keeping everything bottled up and not saying anything at all usually ends badly. Then I become depressed. My anxiety goes through the roof. I start to lose all sense of self. And it becomes more difficult for me to speak. Like I will literally get to the point where I can't talk. Not because I don't want to, because I'll be screaming in my head to say something, to speak, say anything, get a word out, and the ability has left my body. Where I will self-handicap. And I've talked about that before, briefly a few other times. So, and I thought about this. I don't think I've ever really truly described to people what fear of failure is for me. But like for a lot of people, there is that initial fear of failing, or at least the worry of failing, where it'll cause hesitation. And maybe they'll stop and think for a second, what if I can't do this? Whereas more in my mind, it isn't, what if I can't do this? It automatically comes out as, you're not going to be able to do this. You can't achieve this. You're incapable of this. So why put in the effort? Why try to? Why even go through with this? Why give the energy to it? Because all that's going to happen is that it's going to fall apart in front of you. And it makes me lock up. Whereas I'll know I have the capability of doing something. I know I'm able to do it. And I have all of the tools available to me to do it. But I just stop and shut down. Like, and oftentimes, like the things that I end up stopping myself from doing are things that I have talents in, or things that I know people who can help me with those things. Then I don't find myself able to speak to anyone, and I'm just, again, I'm locked up, like just stuck in my own head. And it's one of those things where no matter what I'm feeling emotionally, no matter what I want to say to anyone, no matter how much I may want to show people things, I just can't. I'm incapable at that moment, because everything in here is locked up, translating outwardly, and there's like almost zero I can do about it. Then people will think it's a self-esteem issue, but it really isn't self-esteem, because I have a pretty high self-esteem now. I have a pretty high self-esteem. Like, and I'll tell anyone, I can be very conceited. Be very conceited, very prideful. Like, I try not to be. I try to be more humble of a person, but sometimes that doesn't work, and sometimes I let my ego go overflow. But then there are times where it just, all of the bravado in me just dies down, and I can't pull from that confidence, that well of confidence I may have. I can't pull anything out of it. It's like it's just locked off. Like there's nothing there that I can draw from, no matter how much I might try. No matter how much I might be fighting myself internally, it just won't work out. And the people will be like, well, how is this all related? When you just have a bunch of things going on in your head that you have no absolute control over, and there are thoughts that just roll through your mind no matter what you're trying to do, like inescapable thoughts that just stay there, that you can't distract yourself from no matter what you do. it it's it's like living with someone else in your head that you can't get rid of. There's this person that's always there that is either completely negative or prohibitive of anything you actually want to do or accomplish. And that person lives in your head. Like, and this nasty person that just lives in your head stops you from being able to do or achieve anything. Because you can't say these thoughts are your own, because they don't sound like you. They sound like someone else. Someone else using your voice to be familiar to you. But they're still someone else. And I think that kind of goes on in the heads of a lot of people. A lot of people with mental issues that don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of how other people will think about them, or maybe not even other people, but just the most important people. Because I know, honestly, I didn't really want to talk about it because I didn't want the people that I'm close to think of me differently. But a lot of that's well out the window now, so what choice do I have? I can either not say anything about it and allow things to progressively get worse until I become nothing again, or I can start talking and speaking, and hopefully while I get what I need to get off of my chest and I get these things out of my mind and out of my head, doing it in this format, I might be able to help someone else if they just so happen to see this. They might come across it and just identify with it and be like, there's somebody else that feels this. There's somebody else that knows what this is like. There's another person suffering the same way I am. And they're finding a way to push through it. They're finding a way to draw strength from something. And that's the purpose. So while I'm helping myself, I'm hoping I'm also helping other people. I'm hoping that I can show them that it's not all just darkness. There can be light for you. You just have to find it. It may not be what you thought it was going to be. It may not be what you expected it to be before. But there's always a light there. You just have to find it. And for me, my kids are my light. They are the end all be all for me. Honestly, if I don't get to spend as much time with them as I would like to, but when I do, I try to make the most of it. And I lock all those memories in here, and I keep that with me because that gives me the energy to go forward. I don't even know what words I was going to say just there. I had a train of thought, and it just... I'm just going to put this out there. Like, there's anybody who's struggling, again, I'm easy to reach. If you need to, leave a comment below. I guess at some point I'll put my email address down in the description if I haven't already. Thought I did at one point, but If it's not there, I'll put it there. 'Cause I don't want to leave the opportunity to help someone on the shelf if I can help them. Like, or if I can guide them to the help that they need. I don't want to just leave that there. And yes, it truly does bother me if I notice something is wrong and I want to tell someone, but I know they're going to ignore what I'm saying. But I'm here to help as much as I can, or to help find the help that you need. Hell, maybe I'll find some help for myself along the way. But no one should just deal with whatever they're suffering with alone. If they can avoid it, should always try to reach out to somebody. Should always try to find someone who can help you. Whether that be a friend, a family member, a therapist, whatever. It's just whoever can help you. And hopefully they'll be willing to help you for all the right reasons. But just, again, looking at Etica's situation, because I don't really want to talk on his situation. I know that he was a very big influencer on YouTube and gaming community, and I personally didn't follow him, but he positively affected a lot of people's lives, but he didn't, in truth, really get that positivity back from very many people. And when you're constantly steeped in negativity, your thoughts become very jaded and very clouded. It's very easy to blame yourself. It's very easy to blame yourself. Because that's where your mind is. When your mind is in that place, you're always telling yourself everything is your fault. Everything is your fault. And then your head stays like that everything is your fault. You can't function properly at all. Now, as people, yes, there are some times that we do things that are completely our fault. They are our responsibility to take the blame for it. But we're not always responsible for everything that goes on. And it's got to be to a point, you've got to find a way to recognize that. You've got to find a way to recognize when you are at fault for something and when you're not. I know that was one of my bigger problems, is that I would readily take fault for everything and just take whatever came to me because I felt that everything was my fault. So I allowed that to be who I was. Now, going back and thinking about a lot of stuff, there are things that I should have spoken up about that I never did. And who knows, if I had, maybe my life wouldn't be in the situation it's in. But and again, I could have done everything the same way and still ended up where I ended up. But that's why I've been working on doing more positive things, doing things that are better for me, doing things that, with my kids' futures in mind, will take me in a good direction, take me to a good place. But I don't have a whole lot more to say. Just to again put it out there, if you need help, like you know you're struggling, reach out to people and give them an honest account of what's going on with you or what's going on in your heads. Be genuine about it. Be honest about it. Be truthful. Let people see where your faults are so they can help you. Let people see where you're hurting so they can help you. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm done here. I don't have anything else to really add to that. Hopefully my next vlog won't be so somber, but it was just one of those things where I felt the need to at least talk and share what was in my head. To do the thing that I'm asking other people to do, to hold myself accountable for things, so that I can be, again, the example that I want people to be able to reference and say, he's done it. He's pulled himself from the very bottom of the very bottom of the well back to the top. But that's it. Thank you guys very much for listening. I hope that this helped someone, helped anybody at all, if it can. But outside of that, keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your life. Peace out.